Hello, Via, and welcome to yet another edition of the program Not Just a Woman. My name is Okinda. We are joined on set by Patricia Lagat. Patricia Lagat is a businesswoman. She's going to be taking us through the paces of how she started that business and what it is that she is doing. Karibu sana to the show.
Thanks, Rose.
I want to start with a little bit of background information about you and who is Patricia Lagat?
Okay, as you've gotten, my name is Patricia Lagat. Jeporir Lagat, that's what I go by most of the time. I was born and bred, I was born in West Pokot. That's where my father used to work. I come from Nandi, that's where my family comes from. But I was raised up in Nakuru because my father works in Nakuru. We lived there for 20 years until we moved to Eldoret. So I'm a person who is basically from Nakuru, Eldoret, yeah.
You're very interesting because you went to school like every other person and you passed very well. You got an A.
Yes.
Then you went to med school. Something happened. Let's talk about your experience of med school.
Okay. Now that's the $1 million question I know in the house today. I went to medical school because I passed. Like I had all the points required and it was the in thing. Anyone who gets an A, it's only natural that you do medicine, architecture, engineering, and so on and so forth. Maybe the one thing I didn't get right at that moment in time, I was young. It was the passion. What exactly do I want to do with my life? So I thought, since I've passed, let me go to medical school. But while there, I realized this is not for me. It wasn't the most interesting thing for me, actually. I can't say it was difficult, but I think it was more of,
You didn't have the passion.
I didn't have the passion, yes. That's the one I was
for
looking
medicine.
for. Yes.
Because it's very important when you want to be an engineer or you want to be a doctor or, you even a nurse.
Yeah.
If you don't have the passion for it, then it becomes very difficult for you to navigate that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that passion and your experience of not having that passion. Do you think more people are going into certain courses or certain careers because you passed, because you're qualified to go into it and don't have the passion for it, or do you think it just applies to you?
Yes, I think a lot of people go through that. I'm not the only person. Maybe I was fortunate enough to learn about it and decide to change the course of my life. But for other people, they are stuck in courses. I know a lot of kids out there, they're stuck in courses they might not really want to do, maybe because of societal pressure. You're bright, you should be a doctor. You're a guy, you should be an engineer, those kind of things. Other parents actually raise up their kids saying, I want my son to be a pilot. And they kind of mold them to be pilots from the time they're born. They got in those toy planes and everything.
Yes.
But I think it's very important for educators, for parents and people in society who take care of kids to learn that sometimes a career is like a lifetime commitment. It's like a marriage. If people take a lot of time to prepare for marriage, then you should take a lot of time to consider and prepare for a career choice.
Right.
Yeah, because we'll end up having people who are not happy with what they're doing. Yeah. So it's very...
Let's talk about that duration. Some people, it takes them a lifetime. Sometimes they already have the degree to realize that this is not the thing I should be doing. We have heard of stories of people saying, my father and mother wanted me to be a doctor. Then you get the degree and you take it to your parents. You've heard the story. And you said, now I want to be a musician. This was for you people. This is for you guys. And now I'm doing my thing. How long do you think, in your own words, did it take for you to realize that this is really not the thing I want to be in?
Okay, let me say I realized it quite early. Like the first year of joining medical school, I realized it.
Wow. But
it was difficult. It was like being trapped in a closet. You want to come out, but you're like, what will people say?
Yes.
So it was, I kept going in and out of school. I defer, I rewind, I do things like this because I'm not really there. Until one day I was like, apana, this one, I can't hack. I'd rather just be honest with myself and really get out of here. But now the problem at that point was, I had been struggling so much with, this is not what I want. But to be quite honest, I didn't know what I really wanted to do.
All right. All right. Which takes me to the next question.
Yes.
Horticulture.
Yeah.
How did you find yourself in this, from wanting to practice medicine to going into the horticultural business?
Okay. After I decided to leave school, or rather abandon medical school, let me put it in a very nice way, after I decided to defer from medical school,
yes,
I went home. My parents come from an agricultural background. So they thought, instead of her sitting around, let's send her to the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Go manage the workers, go do something with yourself. And at that point, I think I was a bit depressed because I'd struggled so much with deciding, am I leaving, am I staying?
Mm-hmm.
So I needed something that will get me out of the norm. I don't want to sit around. I'd been sitting around in school. Come on, we read for like 24 hours. Read a lot. So I thought I wanted something that will take me out.
Right.
Yes. So I went to the farm, started visiting the farm. At that time, we were busy setting up the farm.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed the workers, and while there, I think I fell in love with the whole horticultural landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, people were coming to our farm to look at this and that. Because my mom is quite the entrepreneur, so she was doing this and that. On the farm. Yeah, so I started bringing in extension officers. I called someone from where, come and look at this, tell us what you're supposed to do. And while at it, I started getting the skills and realized there was a gap. Not so many people were in horticulture at that time. We only heard of a few farms who were doing this and that. And remember, we were in Nakuru. My father works at Egerton University. That's an institution of, let me say, it's very excellent in agribusiness, agriculture-related stuff. And we kind of brought that here.
All right.
That institution is green. You know, there's everything. There's greenery. There's a lot of vegetables being grown and so on and so forth. In Eldoret, it was quite the opposite. This place is just, it was plain. Nobody's doing much of horticulture. We only know of cereals and so on. So we thought, let's introduce this thing around here. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said your mom is quite the entrepreneur, because they say the apple doesn't fall far off from the tree.
Yes.
But in what area exactly? Because you know, there are these different sectors of horticulture as a practice. It's a very big field.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you growing?
Vegetable production. Fruits and vegetables. Yes. We did passion fruits, and we've done tomatoes in greenhouses. These traditional vegetables for everyday use, you know, things we supply to the restaurants and hotels around here. Yes.
Let's talk about the business in itself, and how what it takes to start one.
Yes.
Because it looks like an enormous undertaking for someone like you. Because there's somebody as young. How old are you, Patricia? How old are you?
They say a lady never tells. So I'm old enough.
She's old enough.
Yeah.
But you look fairly young.
Yes.
A lot of people are watching you, probably around your age, and they're saying, yeah, we look like we can be age mates. But they're thinking, I don't have the capital to go into this business.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about greenhouses and setting up, and it requires a lot of money. Is this money from your own pocket, or do you think your parents chipped in to help you start it up? Tell us your story.
Okay. How it all began was my father was setting up a farm. It was his money that set up the farm, where I started practicing these things, learning on the job, and eventually started offering services similar to what we were doing in our farm.
Okay.
So my first capital was basically the first client. I can do a greenhouse for you. How much will you charge me? I'll charge you this and this. I give you a breakdown. When you pay me down payment, that's where my capital, that's how I built my capital.
Smart.
Yes.
Really, really smart. So where do you sell your produce? Because that's another thing. Sometimes you have the idea, you have the money, but you have no idea where you're going to supply your produce to.
Now this produce is divided into 3 categories. There is produce for local consumption, that is for the hotels around here. You know, the traditional vegetables, managu, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
That one, you don't even have to look for market. There will always be someone at your farm gate. I want this amount of kilos for managu or something. Then we have things like tomatoes, which you grow in greenhouses. Those ones we have to like get a tender to a hotel, and so on and so forth. Then there are other crops which we grew for export purposes, and I think that's where we majored with. We majored on, me and my mom. We used to grow French beans, snow peas, and passion fruit. Those ones were for export. And of course, the surplus goes to the local market. Then I kind of veered away from that when I started doing a lot of service, service provision.
Right.
Yeah, growing for people. Yeah, doing greenhouses for people, helping them set up farms for this and that, and then we help them link them to markets and so on and so forth. So there is market out there.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just afraid to get into horticulture, thinking there's no market, but there is market.
Are you
if
making
you do the
money?
right thing.
Are you making money right now?
Yes.
Lots of money.
Okay, now, I made money at some point. But in 2016, okay, as in any business, there's always challenges. And I can't say, I'm not afraid to say this,
Yes.
but I kind of haven't done much production this year.
Okay.
Yes, I kind of took a break, took a back seat because of huge losses that I encountered. Yes, but there is money in horticulture. Yes.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about how viable it is as a business, but you said you just need to know where to navigate, because the main issue is where to take them. It's not really to grow them, but of course there are also challenges when you're growing them, right?
Yes. Now, unlike other businesses, let me say agribusiness is all about production to marketing. You can't have poor production and hope to get a market, and vice versa. You can't really do that.
Okay.
So if you don't produce well, your products will be rejected. So you have to put in a lot of effort in both production and marketing. Sometimes when you do the right, you can do the right production, but you lack the market because of ignorance. Sometimes you have the market, as in cases of contract farming. We've been contracted to grow this and this for this person. But if you don't do the right thing with production, then you end up not getting to that market.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's two-way.
In all honesty, Patricia, right now, would you tell the viewer who's planning to go into this to actually, take it up and go for it? Somebody who's thinking about horticulture as a practice?
Yes, I would encourage anyone to do that. But word of caution, of course. Horticulture is very delicate. It's not like green farming where you just throw seed in the ground and wait for 9 months. This one, you have to be there every day. You have to check on these things like on a daily basis, because it takes a very short time for a disease to get to your farm and clear everything.
Wow.
It's very risky. Let me say, okay, horticulture is one of the most rewarding arms of agribusiness, because these are things which are short term. The input versus output ratio is very high, But then, if you mess a little bit, you incur very huge losses. Yeah.
Let's talk about help when you undertake horticulture as a practice. Ideally, how many people would be around working under you and helping you, so that people have an idea of this is just not a one-person undertaking. It's not like saying I want to go and hook shoes.
Yes.
Where it's just you and the shoes. This is you, and there's the growing aspect, and you're also the marketer. So ideally, how many people would you really have helping you run the business?
Okay. If you're running a farm, like when we were running a farm, we'd have at least 6 workers at a time. There's someone weeding, someone picking, someone checking on this and that, and so on and so forth. That is on the production side. For marketing, you definitely have to have a lot of people on your phone book. So and so, until you start saving people like Kamau and Mboga, Nani wa Managu, those kind of things. You have to have like many market options so that you know where to take your produce. Now, on the business aspect, like for my case, I was doing more or less extension services. So it was me, I needed a horticulturist, an agribusiness consultant, and say 2 or 3 fundis for construction of greenhouses, and so on and so forth. So you can never really do this alone. Yeah. Most people look at me and they're like, do you even know how to hold a djembe or something? I'm like, yeah, I know how to, but I don't really have to. Because when you're running a business, you need to delegate. You learn to delegate, you give people duties which they're very good at. You don't have to do everything. If you do everything, you'll fail.
Right.
Yes.
I want to commend you for going into this agribusiness, because I was raised at a time where agriculture was associated with punishment.
Yes.
When we were in boarding.
In high school, yeah.
So if you did something wrong, they would give you a hoe and tell you to dig a ground.
Yes.
Do you think, in your own view, a lot of young people don't get into agribusiness because of that notion that agriculture is actually associated with punishment and it's for people who are very old?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, but that is the society we live in.
Okay.
I don't know who really fooled us to think that agriculture is, for one, as you said, punishment, and 2, for poor people.
Yeah, I forgot about it. It's also for poor people.
Yeah. But it's good that eventually there's awareness, and people, we are seeing a lot of young people who have gone into different careers, having agriculture as a side thing. Someone is working in an office somewhere, but they still do farming, maybe not themselves, but they have people working for them. It has created a lot of employment opportunities, and yes, it's rewarding. It's no longer punishment. If anything, I think a lot of people really want to say, they want to feel nice and say, I have a farm somewhere, I'm doing what? I'm keeping chickens somewhere, I'm keeping dairy animals somewhere. It's no longer, I don't think that's a notion anymore. And there was something called the 4K club in primary. Yes. they should be brought back.
Okay.
Yes.
When we come back, more of what you do, because there are other things you're also involved in, other than just being a businesswoman. And we're going to be delving into those issues when we come back. The program is Not Just a Woman. My name is Rose Okinda. We'll be right back. Do stay with us.
Okay.